Cops of Reddit. A lot of people get jumpy and try to act normal around law enforcement. How can you tell genuinely suspicious people from self-conscious idiots acting weird? My mother is incredibly annoying for doing this at customs. As a child we also used to go to France on holiday every year, and on the way through customs at the port she would get all panicky and start acting really weirdly, blurting out non sequiturs and sweating, generally resulting in us having our car singled out for a full search as possible drug smugglers. I got pulled over for speeding and the cops asked to search my car out of the blue. I politely refused and had to wait over 45 minutes for a K9 unit to show up and obsess over my car before they would let me leave. After I asked why did I get singled out, I was told my eyes were red. I wear contacts. It was a dry cold day after a 12-hour shift. Duck me right. The first cop was visibly furious that I did not have drugs on me. He glared at me so hard. If you are in law enforcement, please don't be like that guy. I was very cooperative and polite during all of it BTW. A few years ago, I was on vacation in Key West. My hotel was non-smoking and I had a primo view from my second floor balcony, so I was out there smoking a bowl. I was leaned against the handrail with my elbows propped up on it, my hands in the unmistakable configuration. I had just pulled in a ducking huge hit and was holding it when I looked up from my pipe down to the ground and saw a cop walking close enough that there's zero chance he didn't smell my weed. I ducking froze. I stared right at his face for what seemed like 6 minutes but was likely less than 30 seconds. He actually didn't even slow down. He looked right up at me and said, "I'm not here for you. Enjoy your vacation and stay safe. Thanks. Good guy Key West cop." I just love telling nice cop stories in these threads where they get it upon so heartily. More than self-conscious idiots acting weird. Hey now. Don't you dare shame my everyday normal approach to everything. Once you start interacting with someone you can very quickly tell if something is up. Yeah, people are sometimes nervous around cops, but it's a very different nervous than "oh, I have a kilo of coke in the back." There are also other indicators present when criminal activity is involved. It all adds up to grounds for arrest. The only time I've had a false positive is a kid who was so nervous he lied about his name and gave his brother's info instead. He wasn't drunk, wasn't trafficking, wasn't committing any offense other than driving with a broken headlight. The only reason he was detained so long is cause he lied to us about his identity, and of course we're thinking, what's he trying to hide? Turns out nothing. We spent 45 minutes finding a whole lot of nothing. I was waiting to cross an intersection on foot when a cop car pulled up to the light about 6 feet from me. The K9 in the back stuck its head out of the window and started barking at me. I froze and thought, oh do I have weed on me? I haven't smoked weed in over 15 years. Whenever I have a cop next to me while driving I start picking my nose. The way I see it, the cop sees me picking my nose and thinks I have nothing to hide. Just a guy acting casually. Yeah, no. Another police officer, England, here. For me it's the little signs that give a criminal away. The sideways glance as you drive by them. The "I'm going to a mate's house" stock answer they always give when you ask them where they are going, and also the mannerisms they display when challenged. After a while you can pick the criminals out with relative ease and a few well-placed questions, and a lot of the time you are dealing with repeat offenders, so you get to know faces as well. Members of the public who are nervous just tend to stumble through sentences and will be overly polite, which is nice, and I would never give someone a hard time about that. I normally smile and ask about their day to try and lighten the mood and to make them more relaxed. I will pretty much talk to anyone and love it when people approach me for a chat. In the past few days I've had really interesting conversations about Harley Davidsons. I stopped a biker and we got chatting as I was interested in getting a bike license, growing climbing plants, with an elderly lady having trouble with her neighbors, and No Man's Sky, with some skaters causing trouble at the local shopping center. If you see a copper come up and have a chat, a lot of us are quite friendly. Throw away because I'm a cop. In my experience, nervous people who are just 9-5 average Joes driving home from work are a little shaky and nervous but wait to respond to your questions. They might have stupid answers or not be thinking straight, but it is fundamentally different from a sketchy nervous person. A sketchy nervous person will start talking before I can even introduce myself and the reason for the stop. Officer, I was speeding because my grandma just lost her cat and I'm going to her house with my 3 gangbanger friends and a couple of large bags because we are going to help her find her dog. Also, there are no guns in the car. That's obviously an over-exaggeration, but not by much. Edit. There have been a couple of people saying I'm a good cop. I appreciate that. I also want to point out I learned everything I know from my FTOs, seniors, sergeants, and other officers. Every single officer I work with I would trust on or off camera, on or off duty. I trust every sergeant would do what is necessary to reprimand a bad officer. Please don't think I am the minority. I take pride in my work just like every other officer in my department, state, and country. All I can say is I've made a mission of always driving exactly 7 over the speed limit and that doesn't change when I see a speed trap. I figure they see me cruising and casual and assume I've nothing to hide. I'm ticket free after 15 years. If I could go back in time I would have been a great drug mule. As not a cop, I have a story. My uncle hammered into me, act like you belong. So being in rural Ga, I had been driving since I was 12. You know, back roads and such. But my uncle had me go and get him a coke one night and threw me the keys. So I get out from store, get in the car. I am 12 and look 10. I get out on the road and coming up the road is a police car. And he flashes his headlights. I panic, but realize my headlights are off. So I turn them on. As he passes me, I look him straight in the eye and wave. He waves back. Then with my stomach and my feet I watch the rear view mirror. Without turning my head, just kind of glancing. He never turned around and I took the 2-liter coke to my uncle. Suspicious people focus on how they are guilty. If they're holding, they keep putting their hands in their pocket. If they've got a concealed gun, they'll keep touching the clothing over it. If they're driving and they've had too much to drink, they'll put their hands over their mouth to smell their own breath. Do you know why I stopped you? I didn't do anything wrong. Nervous people make bad jokes. Do you know why I stopped you? I know it's not because I'm a child molester. Because you can't see the kids in the trunk, haha, doubt I mean, that was a joke. Sorry. Me, sitting at a red light, next to a police car. Can I look at him? I don't want to get caught staring at him. That would be weird. Okay, don't look. Okay, but I don't want to look like I'm specifically not looking at him. Because then he might think I'm trying to play it cool. Well, I am trying to play it cool, but not because I've done anything wrong. Okay, look at him a little. Just a glance. Okay, I'm looking. Whoa, that's a big shotgun. He just saw me staring at his gun. Duck. Now he watched me make eye contact and then look away as fast as I can, and now it looks like I'm trying to hide my face like they're looking for me. Okay, look back. Show him my face. But don't look at him. Just look at somewhere in front of his car. Why am I sweating? Is my music too loud? I've heard there's a decibel limit to how loud your speakers can be. I wonder if I'm close to that. No, I'm not. My stereo is on 4 out of 55 volume. I can hear myself breathing. Oh man, why am I breathing like this? And I'm still sweating. Is he staring at me? No. He's not looking at all. Okay, good. Oh, and he looked, we made eye contact again. Duck, 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 duck. And now he's honking at me. Oh god. Oh. The light turned green and I've been sitting here for 10 seconds freaking out. While driving, someone makes the first right turn possible after pulling out behind them. In 7 years of being a cop, I never learned any hard and fast rules. But one thing that stuck out to me is that the innocent folks were usually both cooperative and upset at the same time. I'd give them the cliche talk of everything will be fine if you've done nothing wrong. And 99% of the time innocent people were cooperative but vocally upset at being accused or investigated for a crime. Not that I blame them. That sucks. One example that sticks out to me is a traffic stop I made. I pull over an SUV full of college students. This SUV had made a big swerve into the oncoming lane as I was right behind it. I stop it, and when I approach the car the smell of alcohol is overwhelming. The driver had turned 21 that day. She was visibly shaking and dropped her license as she handed it to me. She insisted several times that she had not been drinking and was just the designated driver. Yeah, right. DD on her 21st birthday with all of her friends. Bullet. I have her exit the car to do field sobriety tests. She tells me I'm clumsy so I don't know how I'll do. But I swear I haven't been drinking. You're wasting your time. Sure. Okay. Fails the one-legged stand. Fails the walk and turn. We get to horizontal nystagmus. The test I put the most stock in because it never fails me. I notice her eyes are bloodshot as I begin. She explains that one has all the cigarette smoke she's been around. She passes. No horizontal or vertical indication. Nothing. What the hell? I go ahead and give her the breathalyzer. 0.000 I check the calibration records. It expired the following day. I call for another machine that had just had its calibration tested. Triple zeros. She's clean. Turns out this girl was, in fact, a DD on her 21st and clumsy as hell. This does go to show something though. Cooperate with law enforcement. Arguing with a cop in the field is not the way to go. That's what we have courts for. Had she refused sobriety tests and or the breathalyzer, she'd have been charged with those crimes, which are just as bad as actually driving drunk in my state, and spent at least that night in jail. Because she cooperated, she went on her way that night to her house party, where she finally got to start drinking. She was later arrested for assault when she found her boyfriend in her bed with her best friend, which according to everyone at the party she herself had suggested in her drunken stupor. She was so close. Edit. Responded somewhere in the comments. I can't find it now, but here's a few notes to clarify some of my points. Yes, I use the hell out of those semicolons. I am aware. When I say cooperate with law enforcement, I mean don't fight verbally or especially physically on the street. Save the dispute for the courtroom. That's where it belongs. The police officer's decision on the street or in the station is final. The officer is making huge decisions based on a small amount of information and there isn't much they can do about that. On that note, admit nothing, deny everything, demand proof. The story is real. One thing I loved about the job is the adventure. You just can't make this it up. It's interesting that you mention sweating. I'm a medical student and I regularly walk into the ER to admit patients to the hospital. Sweating is one of the primary criteria I use to determine if someone is genuinely in distress. Medically speaking, sweating indicates the fight or flight sympathetic nervous response is fully activated in a person's body. Very roughly translated, this means that either the patient's brain or their body thinks they are in a life or death situation. Sweating is common during a heart attack, dangerous heart rhythms, extreme pain, and severe body-wide infection. It is also seen in some poisonings. I also tend to trust a patient's intuition about mortal illness. If they are genuinely so scared they think they're dying and have broken into a sweat from fear, my index of suspicion for a severe medical condition leaps up. The same goes for folks who are scared to death of doctors. If they've made their way to the ER and they're that scared of the hospital, they're probably pretty sick. Gonna want a serious tag. There. Shoot first. Ask questions later.